All right, it's 3 o'clock. We will call the meeting of the Urban Design Commission to order. Everyone, please silence your cell phones and let's call roll.
George McQuistion.
Here.
Jeff Struble. Here. Betsy Brunstetter. Lisa Chronister. Here. Brian Fitzsimmons. Matt Guillory. Here. Long Nguyen. Here. John Robinson. And David Yost. You have a quorum.
All right, let's proceed. And I want to remind everybody as we go through this, please, the commissioners, please do wear your microphones, speak into them, because when we film it for the home viewing audience, they cannot hear anything if you are not speaking into your live microphone. Okay, that said, item 2A, approval of minutes. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns about the minutes? If there are no objections, we will consider the minutes approved by unanimous consent. And now we move to item 6A, cases for individual consideration, 730 Northwest 23rd Street. Michael?
Yeah, the item for you this afternoon is a renovation of an existing commercial building at 730 Northwest 23rd Street. Presently the building is vacant and they're proposing to create a restaurant and bar. The major features include a bar that is on the front portion of the second story. It'd be a rooftop bar on the front portion of the second story. That would be an addition. And then there's also an outdoor dining patio on the ground floor at the front of the existing building between that and the street. We've identified a couple of concerns with the project with respect to screening of the dumpster and the proposed walk-in cooler, which we have not received adequate details on at this point in time. So those two items we're proposing that the Commission continue. The report suggests continuance to the January 22nd meeting of 2014. However, we have not received any submittals at this time for the details on those items, and the deadline for the 22nd meeting in January was yesterday, so we're proposing to continue it to the meeting on February 26th. And that completes our report. We're prepared to respond to any questions the Commission may have.
Any questions for Michael, or should we, Ken, did you want to speak to the project?
Yeah, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ken Fitzsimmons with Task Design. I'm the architect on the project, and these are the owners, Wayne and Jared. And we're very excited about this project and appreciate your time today. And as Michael explained, currently it's an existing one-story building, and what we're proposing to do is try to make this into a place that people want to get out and have a little bit of fun. And we've tried to do something unusual here by putting a rooftop bar on the 23rd Street side, and this bar area would be screened on the east and the south for privacy and also to give a sense of a courtyard type space. So the idea is that you're open to the street, but also have a little bit of privacy. Is there a slide? You have the PowerPoint by chance? Might be easier to show you than try to just describe it. Okay. So this would be the proposed facade from 23rd Street looking straight on to the south. And as you can see there, the walls that we're talking about here up on the second floor, this is on the east side. And then on the west side, there's a new stair. From above, again, showing the same elements. And the bar would be towards the back, and there is actually a wall back here. The idea is that you would, to be able to shut down the bar after hours and secure it, we were looking at the idea of a secure closet or maybe some doors here that can fold down or slide and lock them for after hours. This is a view from the west facade, or of the west facade from Chartel. And again, this is the existing building that you see here. And for code purposes, we've added 2 stairs and an elevator, and this stair we're proposing to be clad in a polycarbonate material. I brought a sample, and the idea for that is to shield it from direct weather in case there is little bit of moisture in the air. We don't expect that people are going to party in the middle of a snowstorm, but be something to protect the stairs a little bit. And also at night, some of the images that you've seen, we'd like to backlight this, and we think that this would be an element that would help give some light to the rooftop bar and also give it a presence. And it's just an ambient type lighting. It's not a signage type light. It's just a real soft glow. Another view aerial from the west. And this is also another entry. There's 2 entries to the building now, one on the north, one on the west, and we're proposing to use those same entries. And the one on the west side here would be an accessible entry, whereas the one on the north is currently not accessible, and it has stairs. This is a view showing from Chartel and from 23rd Street, and this shows the exteriors we proposed in the base bid with an alternate for a front patio. At this time, we're just probably zeroing in on this component, and the front patio is probably going to be something that we might come back to you at a later time for budget purposes. This is it without the front patio alternate. The view of nighttime, and again, this is the element that we're describing as the lantern, and there might be some things going on. We might bring in some lights, string type lights above, just a real soft ambient type lighting, again, just to give a little bit of light, but not make it a office type setting. And another nighttime shot. So most of the light that you would see would be on the Chartel side. That's it. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
On the alternate you're proposing, the polycarb versus the cedar and on
Yes.
the stairs, and then also then the front you spoke to, and then I guess there's the parapet wall on the east side.
Right.
And I guess this is a question for both you and for Michael. Are you kind of pitching one and want us to approve that alternative, or you want the okay to do both depending on how budgets and things work?
Depending on the budget, we'd like the chance to do either one. We feel like either one as a quality would be just fine, but it's just a matter of preference. The cedar was actually the preferred choice, but we're thinking that for protection and also for the lighting at night, we like the polycarb as well. So we're kind of sitting on the fence ourselves about it, but we think either one would be fine, and we'd like you to vote that way.
What, Kenneth, what's the property next door? What's the use for that?
To the east that you're referring
Yes.
to? Okay. It's an existing home at this point.
Is it occupied or?
I don't know. I
Okay.
have not been up to the home. But there is, if the concern is about screening, there is a wall here that would be 7 or 8 feet tall on the east side that would separate it.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about screening as I am that if you build your deck and somebody puts something really fun next door, you might not want that deck there. So
If somebody does what next door, I'm
does
sorry?
something really fun next door where, kind of the party could continue next door type of thing.
I guess I'm not still following what, are you concerned about their
No, I'm not concerned for
project?
them. I'm
Okay.
concerned for the fact that you're really screening that site from the rest of the street.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I see. We did actually list a couple alternates, and one of them, besides the front patio, was to reduce the height of this wall. That's another potential option that we have proposed, and it would be 42 inches tall, the same as the guardrail on the front. Again, it's pending pricing. We're working through that right now.
At this point, are there any other questions for Ken?
I have a question regarding parking. The existing site, I believe, has parking on the west side and potentially some on the north. What will be the impact of the additions and improvements to the parking?
Well, that's something we're actually talking to Michael about. Currently, the parking spaces there do not comply with code. They're not large enough. They're something like 7 feet by 14 feet if you measure the stripes, so they're really not code compliant. What we're proposing because of this addition is maybe to do a parallel parking arrangement along here and still use a one-way access where you enter from Chartel and exit onto 23rd Street. That's something that, again, we'd come back to you in the future, potentially talking about painting striping on existing paving to use parallel parking in the right-of-way.
How many spots would you anticipate the potential?
The best case we're looking at is probably 6. Currently, I think there's 4, but there's not any parking required here, so we understand that's going to be a concern, not just for us, but for all the businesses along here. But the owners are working with trying to make arrangements with other properties to lease parking area.
So what is your occupancy?
A2 restaurant.
No,
Large.
load. How many?
Oh, I'm sorry. The maximum we're going to have, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, it's less than 200
Okay.
for the total occupant load.
It's listed as 193 here.
Okay.
This is in an area of the UD district, the portion east of Classen, that has an exemption from requirements to provide the minimum parking standards. The areas of the UD district that are west of Classen are required to provide the minimum parking and comply with that section of the code, but the section between Broadway and Classen is not. It has an exemption that's similar to the exemption for Bricktown and some other areas of town.
At this point, I'd like to ask, do we have any members of the audience who would like to speak on this case item?
I'm hard of hearing and I haven't understood one word.
Oh, did you want to speak about this item, about this issue?
I don't know what's been discussed because I haven't understood anything, but, okay, thank you very much. I don't know what this is. Maybe. Thank you. I live right next door to this building. My outside wall is 15 feet from the outside wall of that building. I do get sunlight at this point that I can enjoy my yard. An 8-foot wall is going to do away with all that. No more sunlight. No more view. No more privacy. And the noise factor, even though I'm hard of hearing, I can hear music, I can hear loud noises, I can hear cars that come in the driveway to the east of my building with their radios blaring. And from what I could see from the picture, there won't be a top over this bar, right? I just nod. Will there be a top on it? Okay, so and will there be music played up there?
Well, there would have to be, it would have to conform with the noise decibel limits.
I'm sorry?
It would not be louder than the city ordinances allow. They have zoning restrictions on the noise level that's allowed.
Yeah, but the city restrictions are kind of when you're 15 feet away. Yeah. And the noise is going to be a big factor, very big factor. Will there be smoking in your establishment?
Smoking, you said?
Yeah, on the rooftop, will there be smoking?
Yes, we would propose that there be smoking allowed.
That brings up another problem that I have with smoke.
Okay.
I can't tolerate smoke. I don't smoke, and it makes me sick. And I think it's going to be trapped right there between my house and that building. I have a problem with someone smoking and flipping a cigarette into my yard. I don't want my house to burn down.
We don't want your house to burn down either.
And I have a problem with privacy.
Okay.
With that wall, that will probably take care of the privacy at the cost of everything else. I have a problem with parking, and I'm sure you discussed this. I don't know because I couldn't hear. But I don't know where anyone is going to park. There's a plasma center on the west side, on the east side of me, and they have a huge parking lot. But I have already talked to them, and they have said you will not park in their parking lot. So I don't know what the parking's going to be like. To me, that's a problem. Security's a problem. I'm sure you'll have someone on duty if you have a beer joint, you know. I think at this point that covers just about everything that I have a problem with.
Ma'am, just to clarify, you live directly east of this proposed?
Yes, I do. 15 feet. See that picture? See that roof coming out from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
That's me.
Okay.
And I've been there for 41 years.
You've seen a lot of changes on that street, haven't you?
You've what, honey?
You've seen a lot of changes
I have.
on that
I've seen
street.
a lot of changes, and most of them have been welcome and very good changes. And I applaud that. I just don't want a beer joint next door to my house with music playing. I object to it.
My gut reaction at this point, when something like this happens, is to say we should continue this and give both of you, or the owners and the architect and you, ma'am, a chance to talk about this face to face and see if you can resolve any issues. I'm not sure this is the best environment in which to have that kind of discussion.
Okay, I just want my opinions to be on record, that's all.
And I don't know, Ken, I don't know how you and your clients feel about that. I don't know what comments from the other commissioners might be regarding how to best approach this at this stage.
Well, one thing, just to have Michael clarify the zoning in this area and the allowable uses in this area, just for the record.
The zoning is C3, and the bar restaurant is a permitted use in the district.
Is this lady's house also C3, or
Yes.
is it R?
Yeah, it's C3.
Okay.
It might make sense to have a three-way conversation, Michael, so you could be there kind of laying out what the code is, what's permitted by right, that sort of thing, and then see if we can work each way in toward the middle. It may, the parapet wall, for example, that may suggest one alternative rather than another. But it seems like people should really sit down and make sure everyone understands what's going on and what the situation is and what the options are.
I think it is important to know with respect to the second floor, it really is confined to the front third of the building. So there won't be an 8-foot wall on the rear 2/3 of the structure. So her rear yard and the rear portion of her house wouldn't be blocked by any sort of a wall, but there is obviously some discussion to be had about the front portion of the building with the rooftop bar.
And I know we've had kind of diagrams of like shapes and sizes of the shapes of the different buildings and heights, and what shading and views too might be helpful too to kind of.
And actually, sorry, Jeff. The rendering here shows it fairly accurately. The house that we're discussing is about 6 feet higher on grade than the building here that we're talking about, so they're actually not that much different in terms of heights. We're certainly open to communication. My only concern is that we have complied with the zoning requirements, and we want to be good neighbors, but the area is zoned as C3, and it is a very busy street, so with respect to noise and things of that nature, I think all the existing businesses that are there now are probably, we're not looking at anything more extreme or different than that, and I think that this would be a good neighbor. So I'm not opposed to communicating, but I'm just concerned about if this causes it to be something that's continued to a point where my clients have a schedule they're trying to maintain, and just concerned about that aspect of it.
Well, and I even wonder if we might continue it, Michael, you'll tell me, to the very next meeting, to January, even though we've kind of passed the submittal. We have all the stuff here. I mean, we could basically resubmit this package as it is with a few minor changes. But I think it behooves everybody to,
Sure.
to have at least a face-to-face conversation. And Ken, I don't know if you can or desire, but I know in some of these SketchUp packages you can stick the sun in and watch.
Right.
Maybe that would be helpful in terms of education.
Yeah, certainly.
That sort of thing.
And we're open to that. And the other thing I would like to ask, if it is possible, rather than holding up the entire project, if a lot of the things they need to do to get this ready is to, related to interior only, such as partitions. The building currently has inadequate mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, and there's a lot of work that could be done, and we'd rather not hold up the entire permit. And my question or consideration to you would be, could we have the discussion about the exterior but still be moving forward on other aspects? We'd have to talk to plan review about how they divvy that up for release of permit, but would that be okay with you if we broke out the exterior from the interior?
It's okay by me, but let me ask you this question: is having, just a hypothetical question, is having the rooftop bar a make or break decision for this project?
I don't think it's a make or break. I mean, we would really, really, really like to have it, but I think that you guys tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I mean, pretty important. Okay, yeah.
If that's the case, then in good faith, I'd rather not put a pin in the roof. If it sounds like it's integral to whether the project's going to go forward or not, and in the interest of sitting down in good faith with the citizenry, I would suggest we, as much as it pains us, I would try to hold off on that if we could. So, ma'am, are you all right with this approach that we're going to continue this item and give you a chance to meet face-to-face with the owners and the architect and the city to understand more about what could be done to...
I can meet, yes.
Okay. Are you agreeable to that then?
I'm sorry.
You're agreeable to that solution? We're good. Okay. Ken, any final thoughts?
I just would like to understand, just to make sure that the parameters of how we meet and what the expectation is. I just don't want to, cause any particular anything that may get confrontational or anything.
Gotcha. And should we shoot for, as I ask for a motion, should we shoot for the next Urban Design Commission meeting for a continuance? Is that moving too fast, or is?
Well, considering the holidays and everything, it might be a little quick, but I'm not taking any time off other than the days that are normally given, so I'll be here next week. We could whatever meeting we need to have, we could do next week, or we could do the week after. Both of those weeks have holidays in them, of course.
Right.
But we're prepared to meet, and I think the applicant is just concerned about trying to find out, where we would meet, and
right.
Our offices. Probably.
Right. Well, I would rather personally err on the side of trying to meet sooner and get this resolved. And if somehow schedules can't come together, we can always then continue it again.
Right.
So maybe I ask for a motion to continue this till the next Urban Design Commission meeting.
Right. But the items under number 3 would probably, unless you have ways, can you give us the stuff for the item 3 issues?
I think we could, towards screening the walk-in cooler and the dumpster, I think we could work towards that. Yes.
Okay. So I guess what the applicant's saying is he can probably provide us the information we need to consider those items under item 3 that we were continuing to February and do it in time for the January meeting. So just continue the whole thing to January.
All right. Okay. Given that, David, go ahead.
I was going to say that I would strongly suggest, Michael, that you reach out in some way to this lady, because it might be that it would be helpful to her to have a meeting with you or with someone on the staff about this outside of the duress and pressure of a formal meeting with both the applicants and herself and the city.
Absolutely.
I move for continuance until the January meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's Brunstetter and Struble. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will continue this then. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, it's at work is where I am during the week. It's 521-2171. And at
All
home
right,
it's
so-
521-0833.
Just take a pause.
And I can hear over the phone.
I'll make sure we give you a call and set up a meeting. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Item 7A, other business, 1618 North Blackwelder.
Yeah, this is an item for Commission's consideration of a recommendation to the Planning Commission on a variance regarding an existing gravel parking lot at 1614 through 1618 North Blackwelder. We've kind of outlined the parameters of the various numerous variances that are applicable to this case. And obviously, with a gravel lot, you cannot comply with many of the requirements that are applicable in this situation. And at the same time, the property owner applicant does have some long-term plans for the site, and the gravel lot is an interim condition. And rather than make improvements to the parking lot at this time to bring it into compliance with the code, his preference, and then having to turn around and tear those improvements out to affect his ultimate long-term plans for the site. He has approached the city through the Board of Adjustment for a variance on all the 5 criteria that we've listed in the staff report that a variance is required for. And normally, we probably wouldn't go along with that, but being that it's an interim condition and being that we can recommend a sunset clause for it, which we have of December 31st of 2015, we're comfortable making a recommendation to the Commission that they recommend to the Board of Adjustment approval of these variances.
All right. When we sent out the, this is for you or Jeff, when we send out the letters regarding this variance, did anybody reply?
We haven't received any correspondence on this application at this time.
Okay. My take was, given for the reasons you've just said and the area and the interim nature of it, I was fine with it unless some of the local residents were going to be upset because of the gravel or the lack of screening. But if no one's replied, then I'm less concerned about that, obviously. Any questions for Jeff?
I'm trying to understand the history and I guess the future plans too, but it was built a year ago. What was there previous to that?
When I bought it, it was a vacant lot.
Okay. And was there a variance in order to build it a year ago?
No, there wasn't.
Okay. What are the future plans?
We're trying to get some more property to make a bigger parking lot, which till we can meet all the codes, but we just have a few more properties we're trying to acquire.
But it would remain parking?
Correct.
Okay.
And other options too, but that's our main focus now is parking's a huge problem.
Yeah, that was my concern, because I've passed this property a few times since we've gotten this report, and it's always
Full.
pretty packed. Okay.
Any other questions? Or there is a staff recommendation for approval to the BOA with the condition that's listed here. Any motions? Okay. Okay, and that, Lon, just for clarification, that is the motion to follow the staff approval. Okay, that's a motion by Lon Nguyen, seconded by David Yost. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is the recommendation. Thank you. Okay, 7B, resolution acknowledging David Yost. I think we all are sad to see David go. I know I am. Should we read this, or I don't want to embarrass David? I don't want to break down crying either.
There are so many people here.
Well, depending on how embarrassing it might be, I'm not sure you should read it, George. It might contain something that I'm not aware of. Given the NSA's ability to eavesdrop on all our discussions and phone calls and so forth.
Right. In all seriousness, I would say that the additional item that I would put on this acknowledgement would be that for as long as I've viewed the Urban Design Commission, David has always been represented the smaller developer, the entrepreneur, and has always made sure that the city was helping these people rather than being a barrier. And I think the Urban Design Commission has learned a lot and has hopefully incorporated some of that in our DNA, because I think that's the part I'm most afraid of losing if you go or when you go.
Well, thank you. Thank you, George. Can I make a brief comment about a couple of things? As I said last time, I've considered it an honor and a privilege to serve on this body. It's changed dramatically in the 10 years because our mission's changed. We were reviewing parts of Automobile Alley. We were reviewing all of the Cottage District before it became Jetsonville. And back in those days, when people were actually rehabbing those older homes, we had issues like people almost wanting barbed wire fences in their front yard. Not quite, but we had some very difficult things to struggle with because we were dealing with people's personal property that they lived in, and we had a real responsibility. Some of those people that could not afford representation and came here knowing that the city had the authority to do some things that they didn't want, and we had, I think, a real responsibility to help them understand the process and make the process as user-friendly as possible. And I feel like that we've had, in my 10 years, and Betsy goes back further than I do. I think Betsy moved in with the furniture, actually. But I think we've had some really fine people that I've served with, going back to Harry Wilson and John Mobley and John Marshall and those guys. We had our moments when Rick Dowell was on the commission, but he had important things to represent of his own, and it was always, in the long run, a collegial outcome. So I've just been very pleased and honored. I ran into Jim Couch in the hall one day, and I said, well, Jim, when I started here, I was wearing suits and ties. Then I went to dress slacks and sweaters. Now I'm down to jeans and pullovers. And he said, well, you better quit because you'll be in bathrobes and pajamas if you stay on any longer. So it's time for me to go. I'm on the Riverfront Design Committee. I'm going to be active on that. But I want to thank everybody I've served with and thank the staff. I still think about John Calhoun, the consummate professional. Kept in touch with him for a year after he moved to Canada. Been an awful lot of really good folks, and Paula certainly very high on the list among them, as is Aubrey and Michael and many, many others. But thank you all for anything nice you've said about me, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, David. Thanks. We also, on the urban design, chipped in and wanted to present you with this.
Oh, thank you.
We wanted to get you a box.
Oh, well, thank you so very much. Well, thank you. I'm pleased, proud, and humble. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Paula, do we officially vote on the resolution? Okay. Oh, we can have it as is. Okay. Do we sign it? Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay. A second? Second. Okay. That is moved by Brunstetter, seconded by Struble. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the resolution carries, and we will sign this. And then, Paula, there are spaces. We all sign down below? Yes. Okay. 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 Pass that to Betsy. Thank you. All right. While we're finishing that up, Michael, did you want to start on item 8A, administrative approvals?
Yes, that's just an extension of a previously approved CA for the Tower Theater.
Okay.
And they're getting 2 more years of time on that. Apparently, Mr. Dillon has secured some financing to move ahead with that project. So.
Oh, terrific. That's good to hear. And 8B, any comments from the planning department?
Well, I would talk to you about the cottages survey again, but as it turns out, Mr. Bleakley has been out of town for about 3 weeks, and that's the reason why we haven't had any contact with him, and we have not yet received the surveys. But I did receive an email from him yesterday, and he said sometime in the next 2 weeks he hopes to have those surveys in our office so we can start looking them over and deciding what are the key issues for the residents in that area.
Okay. Okay, excellent. And then comments from the commission. I just wanted to follow up on a couple. Are you fine with no, you're not fine with the well, both actually. I'm going to touch on both.
Snow cone is still there, the snow cone shack. The dome, I don't know. Is it finished? I know it's not completely finished, but...
Oh, it's not even supposed to be there. It's supposed to be removed. It was denied by the commission.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the dome.
Oh, the dome?
Yeah,
The gold dome, the
dome's
painting?
about 2/3 coated, and I don't know if there's another coat. And then
Well-
I think they coated the walls, but I couldn't precisely remember what it used to look like.
Yeah, we've been watching that. There are provisions in the code that do allow for ordinary maintenance and repair, and basically what Aubrey and I have talked about that seems to be a bone of contention is whether or not painting a building requires a CA. And there is a provision under that ordinary maintenance and repair provision that does mention a change in visual appearance. And clearly, if you change it from buff brick to silver gray paint, there's a change of appearance. And so at this point in time, there's some debate about whether or not a CA is required, and we're working with code enforcement to determine whether or not we're going to end up citing them for anything at this point in time.
Michael?
Yes.
I know in HP it is, if brick is unpainted, you have to get a CA to paint
That provision is not present in UD,
Okay.
only in Bricktown and downtown.
Only in Bricktown and Historic Preservation?
Yeah, HP, right.
What about the gas station on the corner of
Yeah, we got them to take
Western
the
and
paint off of that.
23rd? Southeast
Did we
corner.
overstep our bounds?
No, that's not HP. That's UDC. I believe that's UDC, and they made them take the white paint off the brick.
Good point.
Yeah, we're having ongoing discussions internally. I don't think everybody's thrilled the building was saved.
Exactly.
But I don't think anybody's ecstatic about the colors that are being applied to the building. And so we're in the process of trying to determine what we need to do about it. So it's an ongoing discussion.
And Michael, I think you reported last time that they had various professionals and historic preservation people involved in the selection, so I was kind of, in my own mind, going with the fact that they had done their own research into what's appropriate, but I don't know. And then I thought maybe we had all gotten used to the tarnished look of the old anodized panels, and I don't remember what it looked like in 1958.
Right.
So, I'm open that there's room, but everybody loves the dome. That's why everybody cares.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next meeting date is Thursday, January 22nd. Relevant details are in the agenda. David, would you like to move to adjourn the meeting? Would you like to move to adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, you usually do that by unanimous consent, but I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you, Betsy. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting, and I'll see all of you down the road.
Excellent. Do we have a second? That's Yost and Chronister. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.